in the fantasy football season, and he has a few tight ends I would bench this week. The first guy, Tyler Higbee of the Los Angeles Rams. So Tyler Higbee, he's been a decent fantasy option this season, but he's a guy just like most of these tight ends that's inconsistent in my opinion. And this week he's got a mediocre matchup with the San Francisco 49ers that give up the eighth least amount of fantasy points to tight ends. So Higbee, he's only had one double-digit fantasy game since week 3 here. So his best game in the last 5 weeks pretty much was week 9 versus Tennessee. 5 catches, 51 yards, and that's nothing to get super hyped about here. So the last few weeks for Higbee, week 7 versus Detroit, 5 catches, 46 yards, and week 8 at Houston, 3 catches, 25 yards. So right here, San Francisco, I don't think he's going to do much in this game. I know it's a Monday night game, but this Ram team, I think they got to get back to the run a little more and get Robert Woods and Van Jefferson a little more involved in this passing offense. And I think this week, for whatever reason, I don't see Higbee doing more than 6 or 7 fantasy points. And he's a tight end I would shy away from this week and bench if you got a better option. The next tight end's Noah Fant of the Denver Broncos. So Fant, we don't know if he's going to even play in this ball game. He's still on the COVID list here. But even before that, he's had some big games and then some mediocre games with Noah Fant. And this week, he's got a good matchup versus the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think we're going to see a lot of running from this Denver Bronco team where they're not even going to have to use Fant as much. I think it's going to be more Jerry Jeudy in this one, Tim Patrick, Gordon, and Javonte Williams like last week, but Fant only making a few plays if he plays in this game. So Fant, I know he was a high draft pick at the tight end position, a top 8 to 10 tight end, but he's just too inconsistent as well for me in here, and we don't know if he's even going to be 100% from the illness if he plays in this ball game. So right here, if you got a better option, I would bench him. And obviously, I could even see the Broncos being careful with him with their bye coming up in week 11. And the third and final tight end I will bench this week's Jared Cook of the Los Angeles Chargers. So Cook's another tight end, just like these other guys I've mentioned, that's inconsistent as well this season. And tight end's a very tough position. If you don't got the top 3 guys in a Waller, Hawkinson, and Kelsey, it's going to be tough for you at that position. You're just going to have to take what you could get some weeks. And Jared Cook, it seems like he's an every other week type of play. So the last few weeks for him, week 6 at Baltimore, 4 catches, 25 yards, and a touchdown. Week 8 versus the Patriots, 2 catches, 25 yards. Week 9 at Philly, 4 catches, 48 yards, and a 2-point conversion. So right here, week 10, it's a tough matchup for him versus the Minnesota Vikings that give up the 5th least amount of fantasy points to tight ends. I just don't see Cook having a great game this week. Maybe 5 or 6 catches for 40 or 50 yards in this one. And obviously, that's not going to be a huge game. And there's better options to start this week. So that's a few tight ends I would bench in week 10 of the fantasy football season.